welcome to Miss Winter's tutorial. Today what we're going to be doing is looking at how to digitize your Charlie Harper inspired drawings and turn them into digital posters. So we're going to be dividing this into two parts. So this first video is going to be all about how to turn your drawings into shapes and different line works in Illustrator. And then the second video is going to be all about how to put them into an A3 document, create your background first, and then build up everything from there. So what I've done already is I've made this little folder here called Charlie Harper Inspired, and I've got an empty folder for my Illustrator files, and I've also got a separate folder where I've put all my scans. So what I've done is I've got my scan of my whales, and they're going to be my focal point, so I've just listed that there as a point of reference. I've also got the coral that I'm going to have in my background, and I've got some texture that I'm going to put on the coral. And I also have some repeated dots here that I'm going to use as little air bubbles just to add a little extra dimension to the work as well. All right, so what I'm going to do is go to my applications and I'm going to find Illustrator, which is here, and I'm just going to open it up. So what we're going to do is we're going to create two different documents. The first document is going to be an A3 document, and that's going to be where your final goes. And the second document is going to be an A2 size document, which is double the size of an A3. And that's where we're going to create our shapes, create our line work, and then we can drag and drop it into the A3 document to really put our final works together. So what you do to create a new file, for those who haven't had much experience in Illustrator, you click File and you go New. And then you're going to come up with a menu that has a few different options like this. So for the first one, we're just going to go ahead and click on A3. Depending on the orientation that you want for your poster, you can either have it as portrait or landscape. I'm going to actually go with landscape just based on, excuse me, based on the different design that I've got. I think it's going to work better as a landscape, and that's something that we can always change later on as well. So what I'm going to do is call this A3 landscape. Is this working? A3 landscape, and I'm going to hit create. So there's my A3 document ready to roll. And what I want to do as well is create an A2 one. So with the specs for that one, the size will need to be 594 by 420. And I'm also going to have that as a landscape as well. So I'm going to hit create, and then I've got my one here. So going back to these scans that I had made, whoop, here we go. What I need to do is get these files into Illustrator so I can use the pen tool to create my shapes. So what I'm going to do for that is go File and then hit Place, and then I can actually find the files here. So I'm going to do the whales first, so I'll put the whales in. And then once you have clicked that, it's going to come up like this, and all you do is you just click and drag how big you want those whales to be. So I think they probably only need to be that big for what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to just click on that little black arrow there and then click off like that, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the pen tool here. Now there's a few different types that you can do. What we want is the very, very top one. So we're going to click on that. If we look down here at the two squares, this black square here that has nothing on the inside means that our stroke or our outline of our shape is going to be black and the inside is going to be white. Now if I wanted to change that, I could just click on the white here and I might make it transparent instead, which is what I'm going to do when we're doing this because I think it'll be a bit easier. And then I'm just going to click back on this black one here. So what I'm going to do now is zoom in. To zoom in, I'm just pressing Command and plus. And if I want to move around the page, I can hold my space bar and this little hand comes up, hello. And then while I'm holding space bar, I can just drag around the page, which is really helpful when you're doing stuff like this. And I'm just going to zoom out a tiny bit. So all you need to do now is you just click and you've added your first anchor down. And then what you can do is hold shift if you would like a perfectly straight line, and it will see no matter where I'm moving now, it's just a straight line. Whereas if I let go of shift, it lets me put the line wherever I want. So I'm going to hold shift to make sure I have a really nice sort of even symmetrical line. And now I'm still holding shift, I'm clicking down, and then I can click down in the middle here. Now I'm still holding on to my mouse, and what you can actually do is pull, and this sort of line comes up here which enables you to curve your line. So I'm going to curve it, and you can hold shift too and it will make it straight as well. So I'm going to curve it to there, and then I'm going to come and click back up here, and I'm just going to curve it out like that. So if I want to see how that shape looks now, what I can do is change it from being the outline to being the actual fill color. So I'm going to turn it like that. So that's now the shape of my whale. I'm pretty happy with that. Sometimes if you keep clicking elsewhere, it'll move these anchor points. So what I often do, and it takes a little bit of time, but it's probably worth it in the long run, is I click on the black arrow, I click off everything, so that shape is done, and then I click back on the pen tool, and I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to do one of these tail pieces for the whale. So again, I'm going to clicking down. Then I'm actually going to click at the bottom here. I'm holding down on my mouse and I'm just curving it to the shape that I want. Now, if I were to click straight up here, see how down the bottom, it's very, very like sort of strange curve at the bottom. So what you need to do to avoid that is you click back on this anchor point here and it gets rid of that line that was there. And then you can click back at the top here and just, and curve it to where you're happy with. And then I'm going to click on the black arrow and click back off. And so now if I wanted to have a really good idea of how it looks, I would click on my drawing and just delete it for a moment and go, yep, cool, happy with that. Everything looks great. And then Control Z to get that back. And what you can do now is rather than tracing this second piece of the tail here, you can just click on this first piece and go Command C, which is copying it, and then Command V to paste it. And then you can just move it into the spot that you're happy with. And that's just sort of an easy way of being able to save a bit of time when you're doing this, but also make sure that everything looks really balanced and really clear as well, just like Charlie Harper's work does. So I'm zooming in now, which again is Command plus, and I'm gonna work on this tiny little whale now. So I'm gonna click my anchor point, hold shift, come across like this, click down, hold on to it while I curve my line. Holding shift again to be really, really symmetrical. Oh, look at that. And then clicking up here. Bellissimo. Look at that, guys. So now that's the shape, the body of my whale. And then I'm going to start with the tail. So I'm going to click. I'm holding shift for some reason. I'm going to let go of shift. I'm going to do this now. And then remember to click back on this anchor point to remove that strange sort of curve. And then, whoops, that's the tail. Now, actually, I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm going to put that back. So again, I just clicked on it and hit delete just to see what it looks like without the line behind it, and then I pressed Command Z to put it back. So now I'm going to just move this. So you can click on whatever and move it around. And then I'm going to go Command C again and Command V to paste. So Command C for copy, V for paste. And I'm just going to, excuse me, put this here. All right. Now we can click on this and hit delete. So there, what our two whales look like as basic shapes to start with. Now, the first thing I'm going to do after I've done those is just go File, Save As, and I'm going to go into here and save it as my Illustrator file. So this will be called, what should we call this document? A2 Shapes and Line. Because the worst thing is when you've done all this really, really amazing hard work in Illustrator and then it crashes and you lose everything. So you lose all your work, you just basically lose any sense of hope and happiness in your life as well, and you're in a pit of despair staring at a computer screen with no work to show. So I don't want that to happen to anyone. So make sure that you save as you go. Now, one thing that we can do as well, see when I click on this body here, I can move it around. If you want to make sure that they stay together, you can click on it. So you click on the body, then you hold shift and you can click on the two tail pieces and you go object group. So now whenever I move one part of it, I move all of it. And I'm going to do that with the little baby whale too. And it's really, really good once you get things sorted for it to get in the habit of doing that if you want to keep all your pieces together. Otherwise, the next thing that we're going to do can be really frustrating because then you have separate bits all over the place, but that will make sense in a moment. So what I want to do now is make sure that this line work comes to the front again so I can trace over it. So object, arrange, bring to front. So those shapes are still behind it, but I just want this detail at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to create some lines for this part of the whale and then these parts as well. So the tail and the mouth sort of area. So I'm going to zoom in again. That's Command plus. And for the lines, you can literally just get the line tool, which is just here. And then you click where you want to start the line, and the same with creating a straight line with the pen tool. You can hold shift if you want it to be perfectly straight. I'm going to go by I, being the devilish character that I am. So we've got one line there. Now, if you'll notice, there's actually no line or color in it because there's no color here. So you can click on the swatches. We'll make it, in fact, just to make sure that it stands out from the black, we will make it red for this part. And then we've got some more lines here. So all I'm doing is just clicking where I want it, dragging it, letting go. And I'll do the same for this part. And this part. Beautiful. And so they're the lines sorted for the tail. And now I'm going to do the same thing with this part of the mouth. So I'm just going to drag. Now there is a slightly faster way that I'm not going to do in this instance, but will just verbally tell you about while I'm doing this. So what you could do is you could originally set up a few lines in a row and then just copy and paste them. And then you could cut off the tips of the line to create the curve here that we have. That is, you can absolutely do that if you know what you're doing. Oh my gosh, where did the mouth go? Oh, there. Oh, what a shock. You can absolutely do that if you know what you're doing. But I just feel for people who are first timers in Illustrator, using the knife tool and trying to figure out like what to delete and what to keep could be a little bit complicated. So I'm not going to do it in this instance, and this doesn't take very long anyway. So I'm just going to continue to put these lines in. I'm going to zoom out a little bit as well. I'm going to tell you every single thing I'm doing. And we got some more lines. We're more than halfway there, guys. And I'm going to do this for the tiny little baby whale afterwards as well. And then we'll create the shapes for the eyes. And we can then move on to the coral. So this part is a little bit tedious, granted, but I'm sure and absolutely certain that it will be worth it in the end. And when you think about it, Charlie Harper was doing all this by hand. So holy moly, hats off to you, Charlie Harper. If you have any comments, leave them below. So almost done. This is very exciting. And so close to being finished. Done. All right, so we can now zoom out and we'll just test this one with the adult whale. So we click on the line work, we'll just get rid of it. And as you can see, we've now got that line work and those different paths on top of the black. And it would look really beautiful, I think. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting all of it now. I'm holding shift and I'm going to click on the whale to deselect that part. And then you can turn it white to kind of see that look as well. And then there are these tiny little black gaps down here. I can always click on each one and extend it so that it goes down to the very bottom too. And that's something I might try and do later, depending on the color in the background as well. So we'll play around with that. But that's really nice to see. So what we'll do now, because I know how exciting that was, we're going to come over and do it for the baby whale too. So we'll just start by doing, oh no, what am I doing? The pen tool. Don't be ridiculous, Miss Winter. Come on. Get your head in the game. All right, so we will do the tail. So again, I'm just clicking and dragging the line, well, what is it called? For a line segment tool in to create the shape of the tail. Like this. And then we can do the same thing for, what do you call this part of a whale? it's not really the mouth. It's, who knows? Some kind of magical part of the whale. It's full of lines and holds its food. It's probably a mouth. I haven't researched it, guys, although whales are my favorite animal. Fun fact. All right. Yes. All right, last one. Done. Okay, so now we've added in the line work for the mouth area, still unknown the actual term, and the tail. And what we're going to do now is create this curved line for the eyes, and then we'll make the actual eye as well. So we'll go back to be using the pen tool for that part. So we'll click on this part, we'll click on that part, and we will just curve it. So now I want to do the eye. So to avoid moving it around, I'm just going to click back on this black arrow and come down to here. So I'm going to create that shape for the eye. Remember, if I don't want to have a weird shape of the eye like that, I'm going to click on this anchor point here and start again. Boom. Now, we also have these different shapes in the toolbar here. So if you want to see a different shape other than a rectangle, you just hold your mouse down on it. Don't click up yet, and then select the ellipse tool. So what I can do then as well, if I hold shift, is create a perfect circle reminiscent of Charlie Harper's Precision, and I will then invert this. So I'm going to click on the arrow to make the red the other way. And then what you can also do, you know how in this section we had like a little eye, so I'm going to go Command C, Command V, and I'm going to turn this part of the eye white. And I'm just going to hold shift and click. All I'm doing for this part is holding shift and then hovering my arrow over the corner in the bottom here. And I will just do that with it. So we have that nice little whale eye done. And we'll do one for the big whale as well. So we'll make sure that we get the pen tool back. We will set this up again so that we have that red color for what we're doing. Click on this side of the eye, curve it, whoops, and then I'll click on the black arrow. Now guys, if you're already more than competent doing this and you're really great with the pen tool and you know exactly your jam in Illustrator, feel free to skip ahead to the second video, because basically what I'm going to be doing for the rest of this video is continuing to show how to use the pen tool. Oh no, whoops. So I'm going to click on the circle again. So yeah, if you want to skip ahead because you feel that you have adequately understood or you have the knowledge already required, by all means, don't listen to my anecdotes about things while I'm doing this. So what I'm going to do now again is I'm going to go Command C, copy, Command V, paste. I'm going to click on the red section here and I'm going to change the color to white. And then I'm going to hold shift and just really make this circle much, much smaller so it's like a little part of the eye, and we're in business. All right. So now that we've done that, we've actually done all of the line work for this part of the whale, and we can get rid of it and see how it looks. I think it looks rather dashing. What do you guys think? So as you can see on the small whale too, I have the same problem where I've kind of gone a little bit too close to the edge, and I've gone a little bit crazy with that part there too. That's okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to actually just change the color of some of this. So since I've already selected my whales and made them complete pieces, what I can do is select all of this and then hold shift and click on the two whales, which now means they've been deselected, and I can change the color of, I need to do the lines first and then the eyes separately. Whoopsies. So I'm just going to highlight the things that I want to change the color of first. Deselect everything else, and then I can, oh no, what am I doing? Is it working? No, because I've accidentally changed the wrong color of the wrong thing. So then I'm going to change the line work to white. Beautiful. and then click off that. All right, great. So now we can see that there's that face, oh, the mouth sort of area. Oh, look, it looks like a piano. All right. Oh, I'm going to go Command Z, and then I will group all these things together. Beautiful. And then I can click on it again and just change it to whatever color I like. So that's really cool and really helpful when you're grouping things. So I might want to keep the whales black, but I'm not quite sure about what color I want the Linework to be. So I can just click on them. Once I've grouped them, it's going to change the color of all of them. So that's very exciting. So now we need to change the color of this part here. So we might make this eye a solid shape. So maybe we want to make, so what I've done then is see how it's now a line because of the color here. I'm just going to make the fill color red instead. But then I go, nah, I don't know. I feel like that might be a bit extreme. So I've changed it to white. And then I can always change this color to black. Ooh, and then this one to, oh, no, oops. And then this one to white, like that. And I'm going to do the same thing with this little eye here too. So I'm going to click on it. The red is the outline, so we want to flip that to be the fill color. We'll change it to white. Whoops, no, I've done that wrong. Let's go back. Let's rebuild, people. So we're going to make that part nothing. Then we'll make this part white. Boom. Then we'll click on this other circle here. We'll make it black. And we'll click on here and we can make a, whoa, hold the phone, people. We'll make it white. All right, beautiful. So let's zoom out. We have our two beautiful happy whales ready to roll. And if I wanted to change the color of the actual whale, I could just click on it. Whoops, come on, Miss Winter. Could just click on it, go to my swatches over here and just select a color I like and see how it looks. Maybe I want a really deep purple, or I want a pink. Maybe I want an orange. It's that simple because it's been grouped now, so we can just change it however we like. If you wanted the body of the whale to be a different color than the tail pieces, you would need to click on it and go Object, Ungroup, and then you click on the body and you can change that color that way, and then you can make the tail separate colors too. But we're not going to do that because I think we will just keep it all together for now. So we're going to group that. Beautiful. So we have our whales. We'll just move them as far up as we can. In fact, can we have them off? Ooh, yeah, let's just get them out of the way. Let's keep them safe. Okay, the next thing we're going to be doing is the coral pieces. I sincerely hope my voice holds out for this because it's getting pretty raspy. Okay, so we're going to go back to our scans. Sorry, I've just gone File and then Place. And then we're going to add in the coral. So we'll just drag that in. In fact, I've just gone Control Z because I want to put it in a little bit bigger. So Control Z. Now we'll place it in. Oh, beautiful. Okay, cool. So now we're going to do the same thing that we did with the whales for this part. And we are going to not live trace. We're going to use the pen tool to create outlines and shapes for this. So I just mentioned live trace. Live trace can be really helpful in some circumstances, but in terms of this, I think to get a cleaner finish and a better line, it's much better to do this yourself. So rather than using live trace. So what we'll do with this one too, just so we can see it on top of the black line work, we'll turn it blue. So we get the pen tool again, and we're just going to, now this one's going to take a lot longer than the whales. So now we've finished that piece. We've done that for the outline, so we can flip that and we can see what the actual coral piece looks like. Oh, it looks awesome. So again, we can click on this to delete it. We can see that that's what the coral piece looks like, and all we have done is use the pen tool to outline what that was and then turn it from being the stroke to being the fill. and we've got our first piece of coral done. So I'm now going to put that back. I'm going to now pause this recording, and I'm going to do it for all the coral pieces, and I will come back and do it again for the fish to show you, okay? So stay tuned.